Okay, I hope you guys can all see my screen. Again, thank you for joining us for today's training session. We're going to be reviewing images inside of the Intranet CMS. Let's go ahead and just review the agenda, and then we're going to quickly jump into the staging environment for today's demo. In terms of the training schedule, we do have a few more upcoming courses. I believe there's 4 more in addition to this particular class that we're having today. And so for those of you who have not registered, you can register using the intranet site, and I will actually go through that process at the end of this call, but we will be covering the following topics: events in the CMS, custom content inside of the CMS, and then for those of you who are working with web forms, there's going to be 2 classes related to that. The first will be the Forms Inside the CMS training course on October 25th, followed by our very last training session, which will be Advanced Forms in the CMS on November 8th. Today, we're going to be covering the following topics. We're going to be discussing image styles. So specifically talking about what are the different image styles and how they work. We'll also be talking about some image styling tips, just some simple things to use the image styles a little bit more effectively. And then we'll also talk about some additional resources like the multimedia web area where you guys can gather or search for images. Okay, so with that said, feel free to raise your hand at any time during the presentation. I will take questions periodically, and then we'll also review them at the end of this call. So first things first, let's talk about what are image styles. Image styles allow you to display a single image in different ways. Each display variation or image style is going to be a result of applying one or more effects to that original image. We're going to be talking about 2 specific types of image styles today. The first is going to be called a global image style, and these are going to be styles that can be applied to images within a WYSIWYG or what you see is what you get text editing field. These types of images and image styles will provide you some freedom on the size and the placement of the image. And so during the demo, you'll notice that when we're working with global images, we'll have the ability to set their alignment, whether they're set to the left, the center, or the right of the page. And we'll also have the ability to select the size of the image, whether it's small, medium, or large. Please keep in mind that when you're dealing with global images or images that are uploaded using the WYSIWYG text editing field, that these images will only be available within your specific web area's media library. Next, we have field images. Field images are going to be styles that apply to specific content types. These require specific dimensions, and these images that are uploaded are always going to be auto-resized and automatically placed on the page for you. These images, being that they're normally decorative in nature, will be available once uploaded to the site-wide media library. So for example, if I upload a hero banner inside of my specific web area, that banner image will actually be available to anyone else creating a landing page outside of my web area. Some specific field image styles, again, are the hero, the featured image, images that we use in card blocks, as well as media blocks, and then also staff images. So with that said, let's actually jump into the staging environment where we can actually take a look at how these 2 different image styles work and how we can efficiently use them. So for those of you who'd like to follow along, you can now navigate to the staging environment for our demo portion of this call. Okay, I hope you guys can still see my screen. And let's go ahead and get signed in. So in order to do this, and we've covered this on other calls, what we're going to do is just select the login link here at the top right-hand corner of my screen. Next, because we are in the staging environment, we will have to click on this enterprise/PIV login link to log in. And then you can select the login with user ID and password option to get signed in. I'm actually going to go ahead and sign in using this first method here. Okay, I am now signed in. The next thing we're going to do is just navigate to our web area. And so I can do that by clicking the My Account link here on the top right-hand side of the screen, or I can also click on the View Profile link at the top left-hand corner of the screen. From this page here, you may notice that you have access to a list of different web areas, but for those of you following along, you should at least have access to the testing web area, so you guys can go ahead and use that for today's training session. I'm going to go ahead and use the CMS training web area. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and select the content button. And I can now see all of the content within my specific web area. And so today I'm going to be using an existing basic page. For those of you who created basic pages on prior training sessions, you can go ahead and use those. Alternatively, if you would like to, you can create a new basic page by clicking on this Add New Content button here. I'm going to open that up in a separate tab, and then you can select to create a basic page to follow along. Being that I'm using an existing basic page, which is listed here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the Edit Node button for that particular page. Okay, so we're now in edit mode for our basic page, and our first exercise will be dealing with global images. And so again, just as a refresher, global images, once uploaded, are available within your specific web area's library, and they're normally added to the body field of a basic page, which is using a WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get text editing field. So here is that field, and we have some simple content within the body of our page, but let's actually now go ahead and add a global image, and let's style that image. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go to a new line, and I'm going to use the Insert from Media Library option. Clicking on that displays the pop-up to add or use existing media. For now, I'm going to go ahead and actually upload a new image. And so with that said, please keep in mind that anytime you're uploading an image, the image will be restricted to a limit of 20 megabytes. And when we're dealing with image types, we do allow PNGs, GIFs, JPEGs as valid file types. And so let's go ahead and actually select an image from our computer. And I'm actually going to upload an image that's already been uploaded, which is just the image of a beetle. So I'll go ahead and select that here. And I'm going to go ahead and name my image. Next, I can provide some alternative text. And the alternative text is just going to be a short description of the image used by screen readers for accessibility purposes. And so I'm just going to describe what's actually in the image. And then if I have any keywords that I want to associate with my image, I can go ahead and enter those here in the keywords section. So I'll go ahead and just provide a simple keyword. At this time, we've now provided all the information that we need to upload our new image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Save button in order to save my image. By default, you'll notice that it's now been selected. If I want to upload any other images, I can do so again by clicking on the Choose File button. Or if I want to insert any existing images onto my body, I can also select them. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use this image. Once selected, you'll notice here that it automatically populates within the body of the WYSIWYG field. And now let's actually take a look at how we can edit this particular image. So by default, it's going to show up using the size that the original image was uploaded in, which as you can see is quite large of an image. And let's actually take a look at how we can minimize or reduce the size of this image using this Edit Media button here at the top left hand of the image. So if I click on that, I'm presented with an additional pop-up box. Again, you can see the alternative text that I provided earlier when I uploaded my image, but I now have the ability to set the alignment as well as the display of the image. And so if you recall, global images do give us some freedom in terms of the sizing and the placement of the image, whereas field images do not. And so let's say we want to go ahead and actually left align this particular image. We can go ahead and select the left radio button. And then let's say that this image is too large and that we want to maybe use a smaller version of the image. I can actually go ahead and change that using this display dropdown. If I would also like to, I can add an image I can add a caption below the image by using this caption checkbox. So I'll go ahead and check that off. And then I'll go ahead and click on the Save button. You'll notice here that as soon as I do that, my image has now been resized, and it has also now been left aligned. And then immediately below the image, I can now provide some sort of caption for my image. So I'll just provide a sample caption for now. And then I will actually go ahead and save my image or save my page so we can see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my page. And we now have our basic page with some sample content, and then immediately below that sample content, we have our image that we styled to be left aligned with a small display with a caption below it. Fairly straightforward. Let's take a look at how we can now edit that and maybe just tweak some of those settings. So again, I'll click on the edit button to go back into edit mode for my page. I can click on the edit media link here at the top left-hand corner of the image to edit the image again. And let's say this time we want to right align the image. I can click on the right align radio button. And let's say I want to remove my caption. I can do that. And let's say this time I want to use the original image. I can do so. And then if I scroll down and click on the Save button, I can view my change. Fairly straightforward. Again, this is an example of a global image where we have a little bit of freedom when it comes to the placement and the size of the image. Any questions so far? Okay, next we're going to take a look at the field image styles, and we're going to touch very quickly on some different types of field image styles. We're going to touch on the hero, the media blocks, and then the staff member cards if time allows. So with that said, I'm going to navigate back into my web area. I'm going to select content again. This time, however, I have a landing page, which I've already created. And so I'm just going to go into edit mode for that particular landing page. And as you can see here, my landing page has an existing hero attached to it. But let's say I want to change this. So I'm actually going to click on the remove button. And I want to replace that with, let's say, a new hero image. By default, you'll notice that Hero images must be at least 2000 by 400 pixels. So if at any point I try to upload an image that does not fit that size, the CMS will actually let me know that this particular image that I selected is too small. And so being that this is a field image, you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot more restrictions around what is actually allowed to be uploaded. So I'm going to try again with an image that is of the appropriate size. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice here that the error goes away and I can now provide some additional information about my hero banner. So I've already filled in some of this information here for time's sake, but you'll notice here that when I'm dealing with the hero image, unlike the previous page that we're dealing with, I do not have the ability to set the alignment or the size of my hero image. As soon as I save this page here, and I actually navigate to view that page, my landing page hero banner has been automatically stretched and centered for me by default. And so this is an example here of a field image style where we do not have the ability to change the placement or the size of the image. These have already been preset for us. Another example of a field image style is going to be the media block. So let's take a look at how we can edit our media blocks and how we can change some of the styling around that. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and use the layout button here. And I'm actually going to add a new block. I'm going to select to add a custom block, which is going to be a media block. And I'll just provide some very generic information here about my block. And at this time, I can now select my media image. I'm going to go ahead and select an existing image. I'm going to go ahead and select this image of the beetle again. And you'll notice here that while the original image that I uploaded was square or rectangular in nature, as soon as I add it to my media block, because it already has some preset formatting for all media blocks, it automatically resizes my image to 124 pixels by 124 pixels. But in addition to that, it adds this round border effect automatically to my image. And so I can provide some additional information here. And I'll just add a very generic link. And I'll click on the Add Block button. Once I do that, again, you'll notice here that the image style has been applied for me automatically. I did not have the ability to select where this image was applied or the alignment. And so again, this is just another example of a field image style. So let's just quickly go ahead and add another block just to show this off again. And this time I'll use the image of a strawberry. And I'm going to go ahead and save my layout so we can see what the final product looks like. And there we go. We now have our hero image, which was a field image style. And then we have two different blocks here, which are also using field image styles that we do not have the ability to change or edit. There's one last field image style that I want to discuss, and then we'll quickly turn it over to you guys if you guys have any questions. So the last image style I want to discuss is going to be the staff member image style. So in order to go ahead and show this off, I'm actually going to go ahead and click on the Create Staff Member option under the dashboard menu. And this is going to allow me to add a new staff member to our directory. And so every time we add a new staff member, we must upload an image of that particular staff member. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to click on the Select Images button. And this time, instead of selecting an image that I've already uploaded, I'm actually going to go ahead and add a new image. So I'm going to click on the Upload link and then the Choose File button. And I've got my image here, which I'm going to upload. Now, this time, being that we're uploading an image for the very first time, we do see some different options. We have the ability to set our focal point. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but in the very middle of this image, there is this crosshair, which allows us to set our focal point. But in addition to that, we can also preview our image to see exactly how it would look. So let's go ahead and just click on this preview link here to see how our image would look. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice here that I'm presented with a bunch of different image styles. So at the very bottom here, I have the original image as it was uploaded, but I can now see how it would look like if I were to use this image as a featured image, or if I were to show it off as a medium gallery image, a small gallery image, or a staff member card. Now, being that I am uploading this as part of a staff member card, I have that preview here, and every staff member card image will be resized to the 100 by 150 pixel size. Now, let's say I maybe wanted to show a different piece of the image. I could change that by using the focal point. And so let's say I maybe was focused on maybe the top portion of the image. I can move that focal point towards the top. And if I go back into the preview here, you'll notice that the featured image now looks a little bit different. It's now focusing on the area that I updated the focal point to. There isn't much of a change on the staff member card because the card style is so small that I can typically see the entire image anyway. So changing the focus on a style so small does not make a difference. But just to show it off again, I'm going to go ahead and just move this down a little bit lower and then go back into the preview. And you can kind of see that change take effect here on the featured image and these other two image styles, but not really the staff member image style. So I'm going to go ahead and just recenter this one more time. I'm going to provide some alternative text. And I'll provide some simple keywords here. And I will select to add this image. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice again that this image is automatically resized to 100 pixels by 150 pixels high. Because this is a field image style, we do not have the ability to change the alignment or the size. The system will automatically do that for us. And so at this point, I can go ahead and just finish providing all the information for my new staff member. And let's see if I can go ahead and save this. And now my staff member has been added, and I can now see a preview of that staff person's profile with the image that we've uploaded using the image style that was applied by the Intranet CMS. So those are three quick examples of field image styles. We've reviewed the hero image banner. We took a look at the two media blocks, and then we took a look at some of the styling that's applied when we create new staff members. One other thing I want to go ahead and review before I turn it over to you for questions is how we can access our existing media library and make changes to our image content. And so in order to do that, I'm going to navigate back again to my web area. I'll select CMS training again. And this time, instead of selecting content, what we're going to want to do is select the media button. And from here, we should be able to see all of the images that have been uploaded to our specific media library. Now, you may be wondering why we cannot see the image of Michael Reagan that we just uploaded. But if you recall, any images that are applied to field images styles, or excuse me, any images that are applied to field image styles are not going to be available inside of your immediate web area. Those will be available in the site-wide media library. But because I uploaded the Beetle image using a global image style, that is available in my web area. And so in order to edit this image, I can click on the edit option to the right of the image. And let's say I maybe wanted to replace or change the focal point of the image. I could do that directly from here. So in order to change the focal point, again, you have this crosshair here in the middle of the image, which I can use to kind of move around and use the preview button to view what the updated image would look like. And then alternatively, let's say I wanted to replace this entire image with another image, but not break any of the references on the pages where this image is referenced from. I can do that by using this choose file button under the replace file section. So let's say I maybe wanted to replace this with a picture of some berries or something like that. I can select my image. Let's see here. Once I've selected my new image, I can select to overwrite this original file. And I'm actually going to change the name. And I'm going to change some of the keywords. And now, as you can see, my image has been replaced. And if I navigate back to the page that we had added that image to before, we should see that it's also been replaced there as well. So I believe I'd added that image to my basic page. And that is actually odd. This should be showing the most recent image. So I will take a look at this. This looks like it might be a bug or an issue. But I believe that that is all of the content for this particular training. And so with that said, I do want to cover a few tips and some resources, and then I will turn it over to editors for any questions that you may have. So some tips to keep in mind when we're dealing with image styles. You can change the focal point of your image at any time and see what it looks like using the preview option, which we just walked through how to do. When uploading icons, make sure to add the icon tag or icon keyword so that others can easily find it. Images should be used based on what they contain, not how they plan to be used. Excuse me, images should be named, excuse me, based on what they contain and not how they plan to be used. Images that are uploaded should typically refrain from containing any text. And then very lastly, if you upload multiple versions of a particular image, make sure to delete all duplicate entries from the media library to prevent cluttering. And now for the last part of the demo, we just have some very simple resources for support. And so all the information that I've covered today is available in the CMS training guide. And then if you guys are looking for images or stock images to use, you can access the multimedia library, which is the third link, in order to find some stock photos and images for you to use. And then if you guys have any questions about the training that was performed today, or just any questions about the CMS in general, feel free to email intranetcms@epa.gov for assistance. I believe that's all that I have for today's demo. Are there any questions from you editors on the line? Feel free to either unmute yourselves or to type your questions in the chat. I see that we have a question from Corinne, and her question was, when we're dealing with the hero image banner, did we have the ability to recenter the B? So Corinne, to answer your question, again, we do not have the ability to change the center of that image. But if we wanted to maybe change what was visible, what we could do is add additional content on the hero so that more of the image is displayed. Or what we could do is actually crop the image before we upload it into the CMS. And so either one of those options would work, but there's no way to specifically change the center of the image once it's added or uploaded as a hero banner. There's another question that we have from Nancy, and she asks, are the slides from today going to be available? So the slides specifically will not be uploaded. However, this entire training session will be uploaded, and you can find that using the first resource bullet that we have listed at the top, which is going to be work.epa.gov/CMS training. All of the other training sessions will also be uploaded there once they've been held. Any other questions from the folks on the line?
Yeah, this is Justin. I just raised my hand real quick to ask. I've added a staff member before. I didn't know it was recommended or even mandatory to upload a photo. Do you know what the standard is regarding that?
So I believe the standard should be noted inside of the intranet guide, which is the second bullet item that we have listed here. Unfortunately, Jessica Deary, who is kind of the content expert around that particular area, is not available right now. But what I can do, Justin, is I can do a little bit of digging on my own, and I can follow up with you with some of the standards regarding images that are uploaded specifically for staff members.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Okay, any other questions from the editors on the line? Okay, if not, again, thank you all for joining today. I hope to see you all at the next training session where we'll be covering custom content inside of the Intranet CMS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Justin.